We're happy that you're joining us this evening. And tonight, Thursday night, before Shabbos Chazak, we're going to conclude Sefer Vayikra this coming Shabbos, Parashios, the two double Parashios of Behar and Bechukosai. Maybe we'll give some insights into what the focus of these Parashios are all about. We know that both Parshas Behar and Parshas Bechukosai, one of the themes that continues to go through both Parshios is the importance of Torah learning. Parshas Behar begins with the inyan of Shemitah, that every 7 years we have to let the land, let it go fallow, let it go. We're not supposed to work the land. And what do the people do? All the farmers are supposed to sit and learn during that year. After all, they're not allowed to work the land. And then comes to Parshas Bechukosai, where the Torah Akdesha tells us, in Bechukosai Teirechu, if you go and you follow in the laws of the Torah, and Rashi tells us and brings the Torah's Kahanim, what does it mean to go in the laws of the Torah? Shetiyu amelim baTorah. You should toil in Torah. So if you want to summarize these two parshios, the emphasis of the parshios are Torah. And it's not a coincidence that we read these two parshios, these two sections of the Torah, just a few weeks before Kabbalah HaTorah. In Mitzvah Hashem, 2 weeks from tonight is the Yontif of Shavuos, and we prepare ourselves each and every day. We know that last night's Sfira was the 35th day of the Omer, the Malchus Shebehod, and each and every day we're getting one step closer to Kabbalah HaTorah until the final day where we're up to the Malchus Shebemalchus, the 49th day. So what is the Torah telling us? How do we prepare for Kabbalah HaTorah? In fact, Chazal tell us we have to read this. Tanya, Reb Shimon ben Elazar Aimer, Reb Shimon ben Elazar used to say, Ezra tikin lehem Yisrael, sheyiyu kairin klalai shebeteres kahanim, Ezra, who was Mesakein, Ezra, who decreed and set up the order of the reading of the Torah. Every year we have to read Parshas Bechukosai, which deals with both the brachos and the kolos. We have to read it before Kaidem Atzeres, before Shavuos. We have to read it. And the Gemara asks, we understand, we have 2 times that the Torah mentions curses, both here in this week's Parsha, Parshas Bechukosai, and later on in Parshas Kisavai. Kisavai, I understand, we end Tichle Hashana V'Kilreiseha. We have to end the year before Rosh Hashanah with all its curses. But here, we're not in the beginning of the year. Here, Yontif Shavuos is not the Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara says, I understand Parshas Kisava, but how do Bechukosai, why do we have to read this Parsha? And the Gemara answers, in Atzeres Nami Rosh Hashanah. The Yontif of Atzeres, the Yontif Gemara calls Shavuos, the Yontif of Atzeres is also a Rosh Hashanah, the Tran, like we learned in the Mishnah, Uba Atzeres al Peres Elon, that the world is judged, the fruits of the land, the fruits of the trees are judged on Yontif of Shavuos. So therefore, we have to end all the curses before the Yontif of Shavuos comes, because it's a new beginning. How appropriate it is this year, where we're suffering a terrible, terrible curse, this plague where we're afraid to hear, every day we hear different reports. Some say it might go on 6 months, a year, chas v'shalom, I hope they're all wrong. That our life is not like it was 2 or 3 months ago. So how appropriate it is to read Parshas Bechukosai, which deals with the curses, right before the Yontif of Shavuos. And the Yontif of Shavuos is a new beginning. Peres Elon, we're judged on the fruits of the tree. And the Mefarshim say, good, very nice, we're judging the fruits of the tree. What does it have to do with us? But we know a human being is considered like a tree. Adam Eitz Hasadeh, a person is compared to the trees of the field. So it's a new beginning. This is the end of the year, and we're about to begin a new beginning. And Rashi tells us in Parshas Bechukosai, a very famous Rashi, and I want to spend a few moments on this Rashi in a very famous Medrash. You know what we have to do? Shetiyu amelim b'Torah. We have to toil in Torah. what does that mean, toil and Torah? In fact, the Balaturim tells us it's merumas. It's hinted in the pasuk. Im Bechukosai terechu. If you go in my laws, begematria, it's the numerical value. Amelim divrei Torah. A person is obligated to toil in Torah. In fact, every time we make a siyum, what do we say? Anu amelim, v'heim amelim. Anu amelim, we toil and they toil. The people of the street, the non-Jews, they also toil their whole lives. Anu amelim mukabim schar, v'heim amelim einu mukabim schar. We toil, and we get reward for our toil. So we're obligated to toil in Torah. I begin with a very famous story of the Maram Shik. The Maram Shik, a very famous genius of a person. He lived in the 1800s. He was born in 1807. The Maram Shik, and he has Shailas and Chubas. People wrote him questions from throughout Europe on all types, all areas of Torah, all Daled Chelkei Shulchan Aruch. They all asked him questions. He has over 1,000 people that asked him questions. That's listed in his Shailas and Chubas, in his Chubas. And he once told his son-in-law, it's printed, do you think such a man who people from the whole Europe would go and ask him questions, great genius of a person, a Talmid Chacham, you think that he was born a genius of a person? He told his son-in-law when he was young and he studied Torah, he never understood a Gemara, black Gemara. He opened the Gemara and his Rabbi taught him, this is what it says, what he told his son-in-law. He admitted, as a youth, as a young boy, when he was learning Torah, he never understood one page of Gemara, but he never gave up. And he continued to learn with hasmada, with diligence, over and over until he became the very famous Maram Shik. So people who think that toiling in Torah, you're born with such a capability, it's inherited from previous generations. No. A person has to toil in Torah. And there's a very famous Orach Chaim in this week's parsha. The Orach Chaim says 42 explanations. If you open Parshas Bechukosai and you look at the opening Orach Chaim in this week's parsha, there are 42 explanations of what it means to toil in Torah. I'm going to quote one of them. We don't have time to learn all 42. He says, what is amelus, toiling in Torah? What does it have to do? Bechukosai teilechu. You go in my laws. You know, a chayk is something that we don't understand. There's a mitzvah that we understand. A chayk is something that we don't understand. The prime example of a chayk is a para aduma that we have to take a red heifer. We take the ashes, the tamiyas tayrim, mitaris atmeim. We don't understand it. What does that have to do with toiling in Torah? So the Orach Chaim, I just want to tell you the first answer. The first explanation gives 42 answers to this. A person is required to review Torah. He could have learned it once and twice and 3 times. And he's known, and he knows it. He knows it backwards and forwards. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants a person to toil in Torah. So therefore, one of the explanations of toiling in Torah means to review it and to go into it and to delve into it. That's one of the answers of the Orach Chaim. But it's still very difficult to understand. How many people are toiling in Torah? It says in the parsha, Bechukosai terechu, you get all the blessings if you toil in Torah, v'nasati gishmeichem b'itam, you get rain in its proper time, nos na'aretz yivula. And then later the curses, im lo yisishmuri, and Rashi says, if you don't listen to Hashem, what does that mean? That you don't toil in Torah, and then all the curses come. How many people toil in Torah? God forbid, we're all deserving of curses? I don't understand what this means. It's not my question. Many of the commentaries ask this question. And tonight I want to spend a few minutes understanding what it means to toil in Torah, and then we reap the rewards that the Torah promises us. They recently published a sefer from one of the tzaddikim and leaders of our generation, the previous generation, Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. And he says the following answer. He says, by the way, yes, my question that we should all ask. The masses of people, they're all busy with work and business and doing whatever they do. Halavai, they should have an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 to learn Torah, but to be considered toiling in Torah. And if you don't toil in Torah, you get all these punishments. How do I understand? So he says, and he explains it as follows, a beautiful answer, and maybe we'll spend a few minutes understanding this answer. He says, you don't understand what the word Amelim B'Torah means. If you understand what Amelis B'Torah means, you'll understand what the Torah requires us. He says, I'm going to read to you his words. Kol ha'amelus hatamidi shalachem. Whatever a person toils in, whatever he's busy a whole day and a whole night, halichusam, hisnaguschem, what you do, what you occupy your time, hisnagu lefitzivui haTorah. We have to direct our lives in the pathway of Torah. A person could be eating and sleeping, as we know. The Rambam tells us we can get reward for even going to sleep. All we have to think about is before we go to sleep, I need a good night's sleep that tomorrow I could serve Hashem. So the sleeping is also a mitzvah. So he says, you know what Amelus B'Torah means? It doesn't mean just sitting at a Gemara for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day. Of course, halavai, we should all be zeicha to that. Amelus B'Torah, you toiling in Torah means that everything you occupy your life is all according to the guidelines of Torah. As we know, b'chol derachecha da'ehu. That's pshat. Pshat of amelus means we're all toiling. After all, we know that a person was created in this world to toil. And we're toiling on many different things. Our time is occupied with many different subjects and many different ideas. But if it's on the guidelines of what the Torah requires, then it's amelus b'Torah. And therefore he says, and I'm going to read you, that therefore it says teirechu, you should go. Hainu loleches b'darchei Hashem, b'chol drachecha da'ehu. We should know and understand that if we toil, whatever we're toiling, and it's in the guidelines of Torah, then that's what the Torah wants, and then we reap all the rewards. We know there's a very famous Baal HaTanya. The Baal HaTanya, who wrote a sefer on Chumash, the sefer is called Likutei Torah. He says that we're misunderstanding the word Amelus in Bechukosai Teirechu. Bechukosai is Lashon Chakika. He says Bechukosai, which we normally interpret, if we go in the precepts in the mitzvahs of Hashem, the Baal HaTanya says no. That's not what it means over here. Bechukosai comes, the shirish, the root of the word is chakika, is to be engraved. And therefore, he says, you know, there's a difference between writing something on a piece of paper, diyoy al klaf, even you take ink and you write it on parchment, or if you engrave it in something. He says, you know what the difference is? He says, diyoy al klaf, if you take ink and you write it even on parchment, it's 2 separate things. You have the parchment, you have the paper, you have the ink. The ink is covering the paper, but it's all 2 separate things. And in fact, later on, the ink could start to evaporate and you just see the klaf, you see the parchment. Chakika, when you engrave something on a stone, you engrave something, it's permanent. There's no 2 separate things. The chakika. So Bechukosai not only means the mitzvahs that we don't understand, it also means that we have to engrave it and be part and parcel. The difference between ksiva and chakika is oisies hanichtavim b'diyoy. I'm quoting the Likutei Torah. Hadiyoy hu davar, the diyoy is davar b'fnei atzmai. The ink is one thing. Ve'enoi gufay mehusa shel klaf. It never becomes part and parcel. You might think you have a pen and paper, you write whatever you write on that paper, and now it looks like the paper is saturated with this ink. It's 2 separate things. The ink is on top of the paper. But when it comes to chakika, then the chakika, masha'en came ba'oisies chakika, when a person engraves something, she'nechkokim agabi even toiv, if you do it on a proper piece of stone, hine eina oisies chashuvim levush chachad. The words, the letters are not separate. It's part and parcel. So Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld is teaching us a very fascinating thing. He tells us that when we have to learn Torah, live Torah, it has to be chakukim, not just something which is exterior to us. It has to be part and parcel of our being. Someone told me, came to this virus, which Mitzvah Hashem, we daven every day that it should be over quickly. It's like HaKadosh Baruch Hu pressed a reset button. Sometimes you have a computer or something and you have to reset it. It's all mixed up. You can't, it's not working properly. So you have to close it and reset it, restart it. Sometimes not even restart, you have to shut it down. You have to maybe close the server. You have to do whatever it has to be reset the whole computer. HaKadosh Baruch Hu reset our lives. We were so busy 2 or 3 months ago, before this whole virus started. We're busy with a million things, running here, going there. And suddenly HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, stop, reset. Let's reset our lives. Now that we are spending more time in our homes, now that we're spending more time with our families, let's get our values the proper way. Let's understand what the Torah wants from us. So the Torah, every year before Shavuos, we read Parshas Behar and Parshas Bechukosai. And Parshas Bechukosai tells us, in Bechukosai Teirechu, Bechukosai, which means it should be chakukim al halev. It should be not something exterior, it should be part of our lives. It should be everything that we do should be filled with Torah. Not only our learning, our eating, our drinking, our walking, our business, our jobs, everything should be part and parcel. We're a walking Sefer Torah. There's no other way to describe it. There's a very famous story with Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Somebody once asked Rabbi Moshe Feinstein a shayla, and Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, who we know, and I mentioned him several times, many times, he was a beautiful, a brilliant person in Torah. He could answer anything on the tip of his fingers. So he answered the question, and he told the person, it's a Magen Avram. What your question is, it's a Magen Avram, and the Magen Avram is found in this and this siman. Look up this in this chapter in Shulchan Aruch. In this chapter and this paragraph, that's where the Magen Avram is. So the young man was very excited that he got an answer from Moshe Feinstein, the leader of the generation, the Pesach Hadar. He went home, he went quickly, opened up the Shulchan Aruch, like Moshe told him, looked up the chapter, looked up that paragraph, and he didn't see the Magen Avram. It's not there. He thought maybe Magen Avram is in a different paragraph. I caught Reb Moshe with a mistake. He quickly ran back to Reb Moshe's yeshiva, Tiferes Yerushalayim, in the Lower East Side, with a Shulchan Aruch in his hand, and he said, Rabbi Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Moshe Shlita, I'm not sure, but I think where you quoted me, it's in that chapter, but it's in the different paragraph. By the way, most people be happy. Well, this paragraph, that paragraph, we got the answer. Okay. No, he had to prove Reb Moshe wrong. So they brought back the Shulchan Aruch to Reb Moshe Feinstein. This is brought down, the story. And Reb Moshe Feinstein said, you sure? No, I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Now, Reb Moshe Feinstein was not a Baal Gaiva. He was not haughty. If he made a mistake, he made a mistake. He would admit he made a mistake. But he says, come, let me see that Shulchan Aruch. And he looked at that paragraph. The young man who was so quick to try to catch Reb Moshe was not ma'ayin, didn't look deeply into that paragraph. Reb Moshe was right. It was in that paragraph, in that chapter, in that paragraph. So the young man was bothered he thought it was like haughtiness of Reb Moshe Feinstein. This paragraph, that paragraph, my nafkamina, who cares? Reb Moshe says, so he asked the Rosh Yeshiva, what's the difference, which paragraph it's in? You're right, you're wrong, you came in. Reb Moshe said, no, you don't understand. I answer many questions every day. And most of my answers that I give to people is from my memory. My memory. And if I'm starting to make mistakes, it was towards the end of the later years of Rav Moshe, then I have a question whether I could answer questions from memory. I wanted to see if I'm making a mistake, and maybe I cannot answer questions without looking into it greater detail. So I'm happy now. I was correct. It's the right chapter and the right paragraph. And now I can continue answering questions. This was the great Goin, the great leader, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Zechet Tzaddik Avracha. You know why? Because it was chakukim al alev. It was engraved. It wasn't something exterior. It wasn't like a pen on a piece of paper that later on it could get erased. But it was part and parcel. Torah was part and parcel of his life. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu requires us, 2 weeks before Shavuos, we read these parashiyos. We read what it means to be a Machlis b'Torah, to toil in Torah, that everything that we do should be Torah-dik. There's no such thing, yes, in the shul, in the Beis Medrash, I'm learning Torah. When I go out to the street, I'm doing something else. No, when you go out to the street, I'm also a Ben Torah. I'm also involved in Limud HaTorah, in mitzvahs and masim tovim. And therefore, Shamshim Before Hirsch, he says, we know, maybe we're aware of this, the Torah is different, lahavdil, than all other religions. Other religions, they tell you what to do, people of nations of the world, what to do when it comes to basic things of a person. But when it comes to how we go to sleep, how we wake up, when we're permitted to go to sleep, how we go to the bathroom, all the details which you and I would think maybe is not appropriate for Shulchan Aruch is appropriate for Torah. You know why? Because it has to be chakukim ha'alev. Shamshon Hirsch brings to our attention that Torah has to be part and parcel of a person. There's no such thing that we do on a daily basis every day of our lives that's not involved and doesn't have ramifications what the Torah requires us. And therefore, we read this parasha right before the Yontif of Shavuos. Every year, this year, 2 weeks before Shavuos, we know we have to have according to some, Parashas Bamidbar, as a buffer between the klalos, between the curses until the Yontif of Shavuos. We read Parashas Behar Bechukosai, and we have to have a reset our lives. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, stop, let the world stop. We stopped already for 2 months. Maybe it's enough. I mean, it's up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, obviously. And now, let's see how we could focus our lives that it should be on the right track. And there's no excuses. Ramshik says, when he was a young boy, he didn't understand 1 page of the Gemara. Nothing. And he grew to be the Goin of the 19th century, the genius where thousands of people would ask him questions. So we, as we read Parashas Bechukosai, we read a Machlis b'Torah. A Machlis over here maybe not only means you review Torah, you toil Torah, but it means when we toil in life, we have to toil with Torah guidelines. You have to toil, whatever we're doing. Could be even something that we consider mundane. It could be even something that we do with work. It could be something that we do with our families. It's all Torah-dik. This is how what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. And therefore, Chazal tell us, we sing it as a song, Ashrei mi sha'amolei b'Torah. Fortunate is the person who toils in Torah. Yet, how many people are toiling in Torah? Most of us don't. Yes, we do toil in Torah. If our lives are guided by Torah, Ashrei mi sha'amolei b'Torah. Fortunate are people who their whole lives are guided by what the Torah wants from us. This is the introduction to the Yontif of Shavuos, that we guide our lives based upon what the Torah wants. And Chazal tell us, Melamed, Shamokoy Mishave Sheyiyu Yisrael Amelim BeTorah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires that we should be toiling in Torah. One of the Farshim says, when it says the Hashem Misave, Hashem desires, a person desires something that he can't have. He desires something. Like Sachmoit, he desires something. Certain things he shouldn't desire. Kadosh Baruch Hu desires that we should toil in Torah. So it means Kavyachal, if we could say, although Kadosh Baruch Hu could have everything, can do everything, but at the same time, a human being has nisyonos, has challenges every day, from the moment we wake up till the moment we go to sleep. Busy with this, busy with that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu misaveh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us that we should be amelim b'Torah. We should toil. Our lives should be toiling in Torah. And no matter what we do, no matter what we say, it should be Torah-dik. No matter what we're doing. We could, as I say, a person could be going to work every single day, and he wears a yarmulke, and he talks the proper language to all his co-workers, and they point to this person. This person is somebody different. He's a Torah-dik person. He leads his life from Torah. So, Mirz Hashem, we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, during these weeks, as preparation for the Yontif Shavuos, what we said last night's Sfira was the 35th, was the Malchus Shabahid, climbing the ladder until the Yontif Shavuos, when we get to the Malchus Shabamalchus, the 49th day of the Omer. And this year, maybe Shavuos might be different than other years. Other years, we spend the entire night. We could still spend the entire night studying Torah, but maybe we won't be spending it in a shul. We might be spending it in our homes. At the same time, we make a bli neder. We make somewhat of I don't want to use the word promise, but a commitment that when we learn these parashiyos, the importance of Torah, the importance of toiling in Torah, not only physically of Torah, but leading our lives that it should be chakukim al alev, be part and parcel. It's not separate. It's one and the same. It's not like ink on top of paper that it could erase one day. May we be zeichem Mirz Hashem. We should all merit that. Yes, we always read. Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Ezra Tikkun Yisrael Sheyukarin Klolei Shabbateres Kahanim. Ezra was Masaki, and he made a decree that every year we should read the curses, right? The curses of Teres Kahanim, the curses of Vayikra, Kaidem Atzeres, before the Yontif Shavuos, in order that Tichle Shana V'Kila Yiseha, may the curses of this year, the curses of this terrible Magefa should quickly come to an end. Chazal tell us that's why we read the Teichacha right before the Yontif Shavuos. And then by the time the Yontif Shavuos comes, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges, U'ba'atzeres al peiros ha'ilon, on the Yontif Shavuos, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges the world on the fruits of the trees, and we're also, a human being is considered Adam, is considered like Eitz HaSadeh, is considered like a tree. May it be zeicher that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should end this Magefa quickly, speedily. And we should all understand this important lesson that we are amelim b'Torah. You don't have to be a person who works and sits 15 hours. Halavai should be on each one of us. 15 hours or 20 hours a day learning Torah. We could be busy with other things, but at the same time, if we're reading B'chol D'rachecha Da'eyu, we're reading a life of Torah, that's also considered amelis. Mirz Hashem, we should be zeicha. The Tichel Shana V'Kila Yiseha, the Koli should come to an end, and Tochel Shana B'Chaiseha, the Bracha should come true. We should see it speedily and quickly in Mirz Hashem. Have a great Shabbos. Take care.